There we go.
Hello, hello.
We got the live notification?
Well, you tell me. We are
Yes, we
live.
do. Yes, we do. Welcome everybody. As you see, we do have a special guest, but like always, couple seconds, give us a couple minutes. We got to send this link out. You know, so just
Sorry.
just give us a second. It's gonna be quick, like always. But let us know in the comments below in the chat how your week's been so far. Um, yeah, let us know. Let us know. All right, here we go. I'm all okay. Boom, bam. There we go. See, just like that.
Wait, what? You're almost finished? We have
Yep.
this race with getting everything out there. Hi, everyone. Grab a seat, get some water.
Yes, please,
Some
please. Kick off your shoes.
soda pop.
Relax your feet.
Exactly. While we send out these links, we'll be with you guys in 1 second. You know, those assistants are always on vacation somewhere, maybe in Cancun. Mm.
They just be they'll send out some stuff. They'll do a couple days, and then
You
they just
know?
they jet. They jet.
Ah,
Like, hello, what's going on, people?
yeah. I am almost finished. And one more. This is awful. Did I win?
Um, we was waiting on you.
Wait, what? Yeah, right.
All
Probably.
right. Are you ready to get this awesome show started?
I am. I am. Just trying to get everyone. Everyone is anxious to see you, Mr. Ellison. So we're just trying to gotta touch everyone. We want them all up here.
It's all
All of
about
you.
amplification.
Yes, let's get them. All right.
One of our viewers, usual suspect, is from Holland. She says it's 2 a.m. and she's ready.
Look at
She's
that.
ready.
Holland.
Okay.
Come on. Come
You
on.
know, big shout out to Miss Mary. Awesome guest, tunes in every week. But let's get this show started. As you know, I'm about to get into it. So here we go. Yo, yo,
Oh, you
yo.
didn't. I wasn't ready, but that's fine.
No, we about to get right into
No,
it.
let's go. Let's
Um,
go.
if this is your first time tuning in, we're a local online news show. We talk about local, national, and international news. I am your co-host, Frosty McNuggetts.
I am Lana Quest, aka Frosty Knowledge.
Yes, yes. As you can see, brother Frosty Oreos couldn't be with us tonight, but he sends his regards, and hopefully he'll be able to be with us next week. But we're gonna jump right into the show, everybody. Like we've been posting on different social medias, we do have a special guest tonight, Mr. Alan Ellison. So please give it a round of applause for him. And Mr. Ellison, let us know a little bit about yourself tonight, or a little bit about yourself.
Well, first off, thank you both for having me on your show. It's so wonderful to be finally able to put faces to names and text. But my name is Alan Ellison. I am running for the United States Senate. I'm from the state of Florida, and I'm looking to represent the interests of not only Floridians, but Americans from around the country. I grew up here in Florida, a place called Hardee County, which is a very small agricultural community. The
Okay.
population of the city that I grew up in is Wauchula, population 3,000 people. So it's a very small rural area. I grew up the son of a pastor. My father is a pastor. My mother was a special needs instructor. And so I grew up under their tutelage. They taught me about what it means to be a public servant. They taught me about understanding one's purpose in life and understanding how the gifts that we've been given should be utilized to forward positive impact in society. And so I've always known that my gift is that of helping other people. And so I grew up again in Hardee County and ended up going to college for education and became inspired by one of my professors who taught an American government class. And he talked about how you can impact society through policy and through laws. And so I ended up changing my major from political education to political science. Ended up getting married and ultimately having one daughter. My daughter's 10 and she's going on 32. And so I continue to pursue my education and ultimately becoming a political scientist as well as a cosmetologist. So I'm a small business owner here in Highlands County, Florida. I'm actually inside of my salon right now.
Oh, nice.
If I were to flip this camera around, you'll see all of the equipment and things like that. So not only am I looking to be the United States Senator from the state of Florida, but I can give you a really good haircut. And for you ladies, I can blow your hair out and silk press it very nicely.
Oh, nice, nice.
I've been doing hair, for about 28 years. I started when I was 10, because I said growing up in a small county, there wasn't anyone that looked like me that did hair. So I ended up having to do it myself. And I've been doing it ever since and got really good with it. Worked in a barbershop for about 10 years. And in that barbershop, I came into contact with a lot of different types of people from a lot of different walks of life. And I got a chance to interact with politicians that look like me, lawyers, doctors, preachers, you name it. And the thing that I learned the most about being in the barbershop was that everyone has an opinion and they're going to let you know what their opinions are, especially when it comes to politics, religion, and sports. So I kind of got a very strong grasp of some of the issues by working in the barbershop and dealing with community members, talking about the issues that matter most to them. I got very strong with debate because in a barbershop, you have to debate a lot.
Oh, it's a lot. It's a lot.
And so, I've done a lot of things over the course of my life. And all of those things have pretty much prepared me for what I'm getting ready to embark on now. And that is running for the United States Senate. I believe that when I look around the state of Florida and I look around the country, I believe that the vast majority of people do not have the type of representation in the United States Congress to better represent their interests. And I believe that these people need a champion. And I'm looking to be that champion so that these people can have their voices heard in the United States Congress.
Yay.
That's exactly what we need.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I love the background part. Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
All right. Now, when somebody put on their glasses, they ready to go, right? So, Mr. Ellison, so Florida has less than optimal gun laws. I read that they have, or you have in Florida, a high incidence of road rage shootings. Kids can go to gun ranges and shoot automatic weapons. So I was just wondering what your thoughts were on, firstly, the stand your ground law, and how do you think gun reform would affect this law?
First of all, I do believe that stand your ground needs to be reformed because it gives an opportunity for people to commit atrocious acts on other people and then be justified by the law. If you remember when Trayvon Martin was gunned down,
Right.
the gentleman was actually pursuing him, and he began to engage in an altercation. And in that moment, the perpetrator became the individual under the law that could get away with killing him when really the cops told him to not pursue. He pursued. And it's just a situation that really allows for people of color to become victimized by this law, which is one of the reasons why it needs to be reformed, because sometimes people can actually just be looking to cause harm and put themselves in a situation where they can be justified for taking an innocent life. And one life is one too many. And I believe that we should have not only reforms on stand your ground, but we should have reforms throughout the entire gun safety world, and not only Florida, but other states as well. We need to look at how people are able to get weapons. I know that they have a lot of gun shows that take place around the state and around the country, where people can literally go in and without any background check obtain, these semi-automatic weapons, and weapons really that are designed for mass destruction, really.
Right.
And then you have, so many different scenarios where people can just have mental health issues and get guns and go out and kill so many people. We should have stricter background checks. We should, make it where people can't just download diagrams on how to do printing of weapons through 3D printing machines. So we need to look at reforms in that arena. And we also need to look at how people can buy weapons online without going through the background check process.
Right.
If we were to tighten up some of these, I believe the impact would be positive. We would have less murders and situations like that. But I also believe that we should have increased training with law enforcement officers on how to recognize various aspects of our society. For example, whenever a law enforcement officer comes onto the scene and there's a person of color, if there is any implicit bias in that officer whatsoever, that implicit bias may allow them to shoot that person when really a conversation could have been had. And so when you look in other countries where they have less gun violence, you can look at how their society is made up, and they have a lot of times better gun laws, more education, better screening processes, especially when it comes to law enforcement. And I say this often, I'm a cosmetologist. It took me a year to get my license. And law enforcement officers sometimes are only going to school for 6 months. And a barber or a cosmetologist actually have more training than police officers who carry weapons of mass destruction on their hips every day. Right. And so we have to do better as a society. We have to do better in this state, especially when it comes to gun violence. We have sheriffs in this state that promote the use of gun violence with everyday citizens, to be able to use it as a first resort for any problem that they might have, any altercation. I've seen it. I mean, you go to Polk County, Florida, and we have Grady Judd who does that kind of stuff. And we just need to have better leadership, because if you look at the statistics, we're losing too many lives in this country and in this state to gun violence.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Good answer. Like here in Massachusetts, up north, you can't get a gun. Like you cannot,
right?
unless you are like law enforcement, correction officer, have a business. Like it's set up by district. Actually, they're like these because I actually went and got whatever the certification is to be able to go back to my county sheriff and ask him, to give me a license, whatever. Like, when you have to go and shoot the gun and then you get the
concealed weapon.
Right. So they gave me a sheet of paper and said, what town do you live in? Because it's separated here in Massachusetts. Some are hot spots like Boston is just a no. Yeah. You're not getting
you have to have a very valid
exactly
to get a firearm.
Right. Right.
They do background checks. They check everything.
Like you can't get one in Boston, like outside of Boston, like where I am. It wasn't a hot zone, so I'm still able to get it. I just haven't done it. I don't even know where the paper is, but but I guess like a lot of the problem is the guns are coming from the South because it's easier, and then they're just driving them state to state.
Yeah, well, there's an argument that takes place quite often about states that have strict gun laws and gun violence at the same time. Like when they talk about Chicago, Chicago has some of the strictest gun laws there is, but the problem is not the states per se that have strict gun laws. Sometimes it's the other states around them where people are bringing guns in. And that's why most Democrats and progressives fight for universal background checks, so that it is the same way no matter what state you go into, so that people can obtain guns that don't supposed to have them, and then bring them into states where there's an increase or a great deal of gun violence.
Right.
I respect a person's right to bear arms. I respect responsible gun owners. I think that there should be more gun safety programs so that people can better understand how to use them properly. But at the same time, there are some weapons that are designed specifically for military use. And there are a demographic of people in our society that feel like they are the country's last defense, or that like there's some militia group. Right. And what I say to that is that for those people who claim to be patriots only because they feel that the Second Amendment is the only amendment and it takes care of all the rest, I say that in this day and age, and living in a pandemic environment, the person who's more patriotic is not the person who has the most guns. It's the person who is actually wearing a mask, because you are able to protect someone else other than, people that look like you in your household. You're actually protecting every person that comes into your vicinity when you go out into the grocery stores or at Walmart or whatever. Wearing a mask is actually more patriotic, because we have a professional military, we have law enforcement, we have the National Guard, the Coast Guard. We don't need individuals thinking that they're the country's last defense and buying up a bunch of weapons of mass destruction so that they can commit acts of treason like they did in DC on the 6th of January.
Which was horrible. So it was just shocking to see that. Like, we won't get into that, but
no,
yes,
please don't. Okay, so we're gonna segue. It's kind of a segue. So Obama criticized the slogan "Defund the Police." Basically, what he was saying is, using that catchphrase, you're leaving out a lot of the electorate. You leaving out some of the moderate Republicans, the independents. They really don't like to be pushed so far left, right? And he felt like, defund the police was just a little too far. So what are your thoughts about that phrase, and what does defund the police mean to you?
Although I understand what the term means, we have to always look at every program, every project, every piece of legislation in a comprehensive way. And so I believe that the term itself, without the knowledge of what it means, it alienates certain people.
Right.
And so as a person who lives in the South, who is trying to reach the widest audience, I believe that we have to utilize language that speaks to everyone.
Right.
I believe that we should put more resources towards social workers. I do believe that we should put more resources towards social programs, because when we are strong as a community and we are taking care of one another, we're strengthening the families, and we're just making positive impact. We don't need law enforcement so much. It's only when the community is hurting and the families are hurting, people turn to violence and they turn to destruction. And then that's when you need law enforcement. I believe that we should invest monies into programs that would be manifested in a 511 rather than a 911. So for example, if someone is mentally ill, mentally disturbed, mentally challenged in any kind of way, and they're dealing with issues in the way that they show up in this world, then we should be able to dial 511 and a healthcare worker, a social worker, or someone can come out and not law enforcement. The thing is that there are just certain terms that demonize people of certain parties. And when you say defund the police, then people begin to think that Democrats want to do away with a law-abiding society and just have chaos. And for those individuals who would probably vote for a Democrat, now they're going to think, oh, this is just some socialist group that don't deserve my vote, when really it's the terminology that's being used. I think that if we could just simply say we need to make more investments in social workers and more investment into social programs, that would go over a whole lot better. So I do agree with President Obama in his address to not use that term, because I have personally dealt with this issue, and I know that there are people that don't understand the term, and they do think it's like taking policy way too far to the left, when really it's just you're trying to improve the quality of life for everyone by spreading the resources and demilitarizing law enforcement. I think we have a military. There's no reason why we should militarize our police departments. I think that they should get better training on how to deal with a variety of different people. But I also think that we should put more resources into the type of people that truly have the expertise to be able to help a wider audience of people.
Yay.
I
Next
couldn't agree
question.
more.
Yeah,
Couldn't agree
no, that
more.
was good.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, that was perfect. Okay. There have been a number of states introducing laws to criminalize public protesters, specifically Florida. So Florida Senate has introduced the HB 1, or the House Bill 1, under the disguise of combating public disorder. So, as you know, this is a way to criminalize BLM and peaceful protesters. Is this a bill that you would support?
Absolutely not. That is what I've been calling a Jim Crow style era bill supported by the Republicans in the state of Florida's legislature, as well as Florida's governor. This is a retaliation for how the general public viewed what took place in DC on the 6th. So this is retaliation for peaceful protesters, like people that are a part of the global movement, Black Lives Matter. This is, if you read into the bill, it basically would charge someone with a crime for engaging in their right to peacefully assemble themselves to bring about positive change. I could see if it was only about trying to prevent an insurrection, which is already illegal, carries a prison sentence of up to 20 years. But these are for peaceful protesters. And because they tried to sue the Black Lives Matter movement and lost, because you can't sue a movement, this is like one of their steps to try and affect progress. And I always say that policy and laws should always forward progress. It should make society better and stronger. It should not hurt. And this HB 1 House bill is designed to hurt and marginalize people who are already victimized already.
Right. Man, it was like I was reading it, and it's like I think I read something like, if you block a car, that's like rioting. Like,
Yeah.
what?
But yeah,
It's ridiculous. You know, these are the same type of politicians that would have found themselves in opposition to Dr. Martin Luther King back in the 60s. You know?
Right.
And they also quote Dr. King's quotes.
Yeah.
But they would find themselves in opposition with him if he were still living today.
And I always find that very disappointing, you know, how you're gonna quote somebody. Um, you know, typical quote when it's Black History Month, you
Mhm.
know, all these platitudes and peace, unity, this, that, and the third. But when it's time to put pedal to the metal, and stand up for it, just a prime example that no Republicans voted for this past bill. Like, if you're going to quote unquote call yourself the party of the people that you represent, you're not trying to help, and it's. I just find it very disingenuous. I don't like when people do that. Like, if it's just, I don't like that. So
Yeah.
that's what I did.
I mean,
I
certain people.
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. Part of my campaign's theme is it's United for Florida, and occasionally you will hear me say United for America. I do that in the hashtag, and basically what I'm trying to get people to understand with this theme is that we truly have more in common than not. There are 55,000 different issues that affect millions of people. And when you start to be open-minded and have conversations with people, you begin to find out that, most people want the same things out of life. And so we, in our campaign, we are trying our best to unify the state, but also unify the country. We must have accountability first, but we need to unify on messages that bring us together, because a divided house cannot stand, and America cannot move forward if we are divided. And if you think about policy and policymakers for the last 20 years in the United States Congress, we haven't moved forward that much. And the primary reason is because people are so divided. So I want to set a new standard. I want to set a standard based on unity, but I also want to make sure that people understand that if we don't have an inclusive tone, if we don't try our best to find those common threads that bind us together, then we are no better than all of the politicians that exist before us. At some point, we have to get this right. At some point, we're going to have to understand that out of 55,000 issues, we cannot be torn apart by one or two, because if you've been working 30, 40 years in your job, when it comes time for you to retire, you're going to want your Social Security. And if you are a Republican and you're voting for a Republican candidate that wants to dismantle Social Security, then ultimately you are voting against your better interests. So that's what our campaign does. We focus on the issues, and we focus on helping people to understand how the issues directly impact their world. And by doing so, we've been able to build a movement and get people from all walks of life to get involved. I usually don't like talking about Democrats or Republicans because the parties are people made. No party is perfect. And what the goal should be, it should be really about the people, not people in your party, not people who look like you, not people who contribute money to your campaigns, but all people. And that's the goal. That's our thing.
Yeah. Yay.
I like
I'm
that.
gonna let my co-host ask some questions because I'll just ask questions all night. Because
No doubt, no
I
doubt.
talk a-
And no, I like that, because that's actually kind of a segue into my question. But before I get to that, I just want to make a comment. That's some of the messages that we push on the show. We tell our guests, our viewers, for people who don't know, but we always tell our guests, yo, find a candidate that cares about the same issues and matters that you care about. Even if they don't look like you. If they're talking about, you want higher wages and better healthcare, and that's what they're talking about, that's the person that you need to support. I always say, if the person's talking about what you want as excuse me, as an individual, if what you want in a candidate just so happens to look like you, that's a bonus. That's all right, cool. That's great. That's awesome, because now I know my candidate has an even better understanding of the issues that I face. But again, you should always look for a candidate that talks about the issues that matter. And for you to do that is another prime example of the message that we want to push. As a show, we want to educate, our guests, our viewers that tune in, about what's going on, whether it be local or national. And we tell them your interest is what matters. The people are what matter. Your voice is just as important as people passing the laws, because the laws that they pass affect you. And so having someone like yourself that understands that and can identify that is just more reason why we have to do our job and amplify your voice. Just because, again, we want someone that represents us. And again, the fact that you're a Black brother, you look like us, that's just a bonus. Even if you were white, Asian, Puerto Rican, but you were still talking about these same issues, we will still have you on the show, because that's what we want to promote. But again, the fact that you look like us in the community that we represent is just a bigger bonus. But with that being said, I'm gonna get into my question. My first question, which was going to be my second, but it's a segue, talking about unity and equality and things like that. This month is Women's History Month. What plans, or what are your thoughts on how to have that equality amongst men and women in the workplace, and trying to get the wages equal? Like, do you have a plan, or what's your thoughts about that?
Well, first of all, thank you for that question, because it's such a huge problem in our society. Every day I hear women tell me that they have found out through conversation in the workplace that they are getting paid less than their male counterparts. And there have been some research on the issue to say that women get paid 78 cents on the dollar, and women of color are getting paid even less, like 69 cents on the dollar. So what happens is it creates an unfair situation that has negative long-term impact on the family, especially with women being the head of a lot of households, not only in Florida, but throughout the country. And so I want to be able to raise the awareness on this issue and make it illegal for workplaces to have a policy, usually by the HR, a policy that does not allow people to talk about what they make with one another. That is a ground for people to be paid less based on their gender. So I promote gender pay equality. I believe that if a person is working and it happens to be a female in the same job doing the same work as a man, then that woman should be able to get paid the same thing. I remember when I first decided that I wanted to get into politics, it was I was in I think it was a race relations course at Florida Southern College. And there was a case with a couple by the name of Harry and Harriet Tubman. They were part of the NAACP, and they were fighting for equal pay for African-American teachers. And I remember learning about them. They were raising so much awareness on these issues that the KKK decided to bomb their home on Christmas morning.
Wow.
And the two of them ended up in the hospital, and they both died together, holding each other's hand after being bombed on Christmas morning. And there's a lot more to that story, but the takeaway is this: if people are losing their lives trying to fight for pay equality and just equality in general, then I owe it to them. And I said this back then, and I think I was maybe like 24 years of age. But I remember saying that one day I would work hard to make sure that people get paid what they deserve, whether it be teachers getting paid what they deserve, whether it be women of color getting paid what they deserve, or women in general getting paid what they deserve. I believe that not only should people get paid equal for equal work, but I believe they should be paid good. And when I think about the fact that in Florida, we just passed overwhelmingly a bill that increases Florida's minimum wage to $15, incrementally reaching $15 by 2026, only to know that there is a Republican-led legislature that has decided that they want to make it where returning citizens can't partake in the $15 minimum wage increase. That is absolutely wrong. And so that's a lot of women that won't be able to get paid the $15 an hour. That's a lot of African-American women, African-American men. And as I said earlier, I believe that policies and laws should benefit society. It should move society forward. It should help. But whenever policymakers put together laws that hurt people, then I say we have to work together, build a coalition strong enough to be able to vote those kind out. As far as women's issues are concerned, I'm really happy that Harriet Tubman, who's my superhero, my favorite superhero is Harriet Tubman, will be going on the $20 bill. So that is a testament to women's history. That is a testament to perseverance and excellence. I think that if Harriet did what she did, risk her life all those times to be able to make positive change in the lives of so many, I think that there's a lot that we can learn from her as policymakers to continue in that fight to make life better for women. I believe that women should have the right to choose. I believe that they should have the right to do whatever it is that they want to do, as long as it doesn't involve hurting or killing someone. I believe they should have every right. And as a matter of fact, I just took off my my black hoodie. It says feminist across it. Yeah, I'm very proud of that.
That's dope.
Right.
But absolutely, I believe that there are so many aspects of our society, especially like in prisons where a lot of women are being raped. We need to make sure that our prison systems are protecting our women, because there are a lot of women there that are looking to just pay their debt to society and come back and be a returning citizen and productive citizen. They don't need to come back with the burden and the weight and the depression of being violated while in state or federal institutions. And so, there's a lot that I want to be able to do to help women. I love women. I think women are the backbone of our society. And I think that without women, we would probably be in disarray and chaos in this country.
Yeah. What about the women in the military? Because they face some of the same issues. They're out here being raped as well. And
Exactly.
yeah.
I saw a report one time about the amount of rape that takes place in our military installations, as well as our military educational institutions. And I was appalled that a lot of them remain silent in those types of situations. And so, we have to have reforms take place in our military to protect our women. I know it happens in third world countries, but a lot of countries don't even have women. But for those that do, this goes on in third world countries as well. But I'm not representing those countries. I'm looking to represent this one. And so I think that if we can get this right in America, then we could be a light to the rest of the world so that they can change. And that's why it's really so important, because there are so many women globally. And I know this is International Women's Month, but there are women globally that are struggling. I went to Africa in 2019 and I adopted about 100 widows, because in some countries, especially like Africa, when a woman loses her husband, she descends to the very bottom of society. And if a man decides that he wants her possessions that her husband may have left her, then he has all rights to it. And it basically would render her homeless, destitute, and in a really bad predicament. So I ended up adopting 100 widows, and I provide resources to them to help them to be able to start businesses and basically become gainfully employed and things of that nature. But absolutely, I believe that we should do everything in our power to protect the most vulnerable among us, as well as to empower those that have those brilliant minds to go off and make positive impacts in our society. And the other thing is African American women have become one of the most educated women or groups of demographics of people in our society, yet they get paid the least. And so we want to make sure that that everyone is getting their fair shake. And that's why our theme is centered around improving the quality of life. Because if you're getting paid less than your male counterparts, then you're not able to live the best quality of life, especially when you're the head of the household and you are dependent upon what you do in this country. So, and what you do as the head of the household, we want to give you every advantage. And so Republicans like Marco Rubio, they're not thinking like this. They're not putting together policies and ideas and plans on how to change this. I am, and that's why I'm asking for your vote.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, I love you, Mama. I just wanted to put that out there.
Hey, Mom.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But thank you. My next question, which was going to be my first question, so I had to swap them. But going along the lines of what's going on, as you kind of brought up, you want people to vote for you. Here we go. I'm sorry. It's actually my third question. What are your thoughts on voting rights and what you see about what's going on in Georgia and Tennessee, where GOP is trying to pass all these crazy laws and just voter suppression? But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that 50 plus years later, we are still fighting for the right to vote. There are currently over 60 voter suppression tactics that Republicans use. And you don't see Democrats using these tactics, but Republicans, they use these tactics. They go to CPAC and they meet and they try to figure out with these think tanks on how to suppress votes. I know here in Florida, one of the biggest voting suppression tactics that they're using is trying to force returning citizens to have to pay what is known as a Jim Crow era poll tax before they can vote. And that hurts about 1.4 million individuals in the state of Florida, and 1 million of those happen to be Democrats. So I don't support any type of legislation that hinders a person's right to vote. I believe that people have the right to vote. In the state of Florida, our governor believes that voting is a privilege. And on that issue alone, I think he should be voted out of office. There is a new law that they're trying to pass that will do away with a person's ability to put their ballots in a drop box. They want to get rid of the drop boxes. Okay, that has already been identified as one of the 60 voter suppression tactics. They do that in Texas. They do that around the country, especially in the South. If you make it difficult for people to get their votes to the supervisor of elections, essentially that is voter suppression. And they just keep coming up with all of these things. So again, and this is what I want people to understand, if they come up with policies that force society to move backwards, like we've already gone through this in the 60s with the Voting Rights Act. If society moves backwards, then the idea is is that we have Jim Crow style era Republican politicians that really shouldn't have a place in leadership, because we've already moved past that and they're trying to take us back. All laws, all policies should progress society. It should never take it back. And every time we see these type of tactics, then we have to understand that we have a responsibility to know who they are and to work diligently to vote them out of office. And before we went live, we were talking about how you can be from a different state, but support candidates in other states to make sure that those candidates are helping to progress society. And I consider myself a progressive candidate because, one, I think outside of the box. I try to come up with solutions to problems that help to move society forward. And so I'm always the one to tell people that when they start writing policies that move society backwards, let's band together and get them out of office.
Right.
I agree. You know, again, that's another message that we push. Just keep
You're
moving
frozen.
forward. Oh,
You're
I'm frozen.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Frosty.
Why am I frozen?
Because you're frosty.
You're
I'm
frosty.
Yeah.
Wait.
You're like really frozen. We can hear you
see?
fine.
You can hear me.
You can, yeah.
I mean, that is a kind of a good pose. You know,
That
very
actually,
stoic.
it is a great pose.
But as long as you can hear me,
yeah, go ahead.
That's okay. But no, I lost my point because I got frozen. All right. So with that being said, I'm just gonna go into my final question. I love going outdoors. I love playing basketball. You know, when I was younger, my grandfather, before he passed, used to take me to the golf course. He taught me how to play golf. So I do love golf. I love being outside. You know, I love hiking and things like that. So as you know, Texas frozen over a couple of weeks ago or last month, however you want to look at it. What are your thoughts on like climate change and weather? And do you have any plans? Because I know Florida's right there. Some people saying that the tip of Florida might go underwater in the next couple years. But what as a running for Senate, do you have any ideas or any plans to help the climate? Do you have anything to help or any suggestions that we could pass to get climate change in order and all of that?
Absolutely. One of the things that I like to do is to raise awareness and educate about what climate change is, because there are a lot of people that don't really understand what it is, because they could say, you know, I thought we had some climate change, but it's hotter than ever. Or whenever it's cold, they say, you know, I thought we had global warming because I'm cold today.
Yeah.
And so first of all, I want to just clear something up real quick. What they're experiencing is not climate. What they're experiencing is weather. Weather is what takes place in temperature in the atmosphere on a day-to-day basis. Climate is what takes place in weather over a 30-year period. So if people try to determine if climate change is real based on what the weather is doing from day to day, then they're going to miss it. You have to be able to look at climate reports over a 30-year span or in 30-year increments to see that the planet is getting hotter. Planet's getting hotter because of a variety of reasons, most of which is because of the carbon footprint that humans and some animals put off into the atmosphere that traps heat inside of the earth. And so what happens is that heat begins to melt the polar ice caps. And if you know anything about polar ice caps or glaciers, then you would know that there are some that are bigger than every mountain range on Earth. And so the other thing about glaciers is that although it's bigger than the mountain ranges on Earth, that's usually what you see. But the biggest part of the glacier is what you don't see, and that's what's under the water. And so when that thing or those things begin to melt, the water or the sea level begins to rise. And Florida goes underwater literally every year because of this. There are some places in Florida that have already completely gone on underwater. You can go to Miami and see this. It's gone underwater. Some places in Tampa where highways have gone underwater. Now, whenever those sea levels rise, it puts stress on certain waterways that ends up inside of our sewer systems. And if you've ever seen raw sewage seep out onto the streets of American cities, then you'll know what I'm talking about. But for those of you that don't, there are over 900,000 tons of raw sewage that's seeping out onto America's streets because of the rising sea level. And the rising sea level is triggered by global warming. And if you don't know why that's such a big thing, and I'll tell you why. Back during the medieval period, we engaged in what was known as a pandemic. It was called the Bubonic Plague. And the Bubonic Plague was because of the filth that created a microbe that ended up in the vermin, and then the fleas on the vermin began to bite the humans and got it inside of humans. And it was all because of filth. And so what was a environmental catastrophe became a health pandemic. And the same thing could happen now because sewer systems are filled with not only methane, but also hepatitis. And if this stuff starts to really affect humans, we could end up in another situation. And I'll show you how bad that pandemic was. It ended up killing a third of the world's population, and it took 200 years to replenish the Earth's population behind that. So we don't want to end up in the same predicament that we was hundreds of years ago. But it is a reality because our sewer systems are old, dilapidated, they are crumbling, and the rising sea level is causing them to be even more stressed out. And so there are things that we can do from a policy standpoint. There are things that we can do from an institutional standpoint, and there are things that we can do on an individual basis. I know that the feed that we give our cattle that we live off of throughout the entire world, the methane that is expelled from them increases CO2 emissions by at least 4%. If we were to just change their feed source, we can get rid of that. If we were to start maybe walking more or get electric scooters to get around, maybe even ride bikes more, we can reduce our carbon footprint. But we all have to be working collectively on trying to do this, because if we don't save our planet, we're not going to be able to leave a healthy environment for our children and our children's children. And for those of you that have children, then you know that you want to leave your children something good. So we have to look at things like getting back into the Paris Accord or the Paris Agreement. And the Paris Agreement is basically where countries from around the world, they met in Paris, they came to an agreement to make sure that everyone was doing their fair share of reducing the carbon footprint. And the former guy ended up taking us out of that agreement. And I believe that President Biden will get us back into the agreement. So that would be a good step forward. But from a legislative standpoint, there are so many different things that we could do to roll back the carbon footprint. But it's going to take investments. It's going to take a consensus. It's going to probably take getting Republicans out so that we can move forward with what is necessary for our ecology and our environment. And so I believe in climate change. I believe in science. I'm not a climate change denier. I believe my opponent is one that believes that we should not be spending the resources trying to fight climate change. I think this morning, he was trying to fight time change. And I'm thinking, while you're trying to fight time change, I'm trying to fight climate change, because that is the real threat to our planet. And so, it affects our air quality. Climate change affects our water. And not only that, when you have a hotter environment, a lot of the crops and agricultural products that we are generating, it begins to have an adverse effect on those crops and the crop rotation and our ability to produce food sources to sustain our population. So that's being affected. And then when you think about, just overall air quality and all of the different things that it touches, it begins to have massive fallout. And so it's not just about, one thing, it's about a lot of things. And we just have to be willing to be open-minded. We have to be willing to learn. I went to a seminar on this, and there are literally 100 different things that we could do as individuals that can help roll back this footprint. And so one of the things that I've recently done was I've started to look for a skateboard so that I can move around town on a skateboard to do my part in rolling back the carbon footprint.
Right. Nice.
Yeah. So you'll
hit
be
him with the
seeing me on
kick
my
push.
skateboard.
Kick push.
I'll be
You're on TikTok on your skateboard.
I'll be on TikTok.
Hilarious.
Right? I dig it. Well, that's all the questions that I have, even though I don't know why my camera keeps freezing like that. So I'm gonna just get a nice.
You gotta put some quarters in it. Put some quarters in it.
That's exactly what I'm gonna have to do. That's the pose that's gonna have to be there. That's. Well, I have one more. This kind of a segue. This is the last question.
We got a lot of segues here.
We do.
We love segues.
Segues are good. We love transition. But the last one that I have, and then after this, we can kind of wrap it up. What are your thoughts on the filibuster? And now that with the voting and all that stuff that's going on, a lot of the progressives want to get rid of the filibuster, so that some of the things that we want to pass, we can get out right away. What are your thoughts on? Do you want to keep the filibuster? Do you want to get rid of it? What are your thoughts?
Well, again, I'm a progressive, so I believe in progressing. So if you think about what I said earlier, is Congress has been so divided. People have gone into their opposite ends of the room on so many different issues that it's very difficult to move our society forward. And so on that premise, the filibuster does nothing but keeps progress from moving forward. So we need to end the filibuster, just get rid of it, because it's a waste of time. It's a waste of taxpayer dollars.
Right.
It doesn't help us out. And so, I believe that we should just get rid of it.
Okay.
Oh, he's frozen again.
I'm frozen again. As long as y'all can hear me, I keep freezing. I'm a nice pose. It's don't freeze. It froze. See, I look professional. This is what happens when the things go live. But
yeah, that's a fact.
Did you have anything else that you want to add, Miss Knowledge?
Yeah.
Questions or anything
I do.
That?
Of course I do. Why wouldn't I? So when we wrap up these interviews, I typically do a thing called the lightning round, where I'm just gonna ask you some questions and you're gonna, answer them pretty quickly.
Okay.
All righty. So let's go. 3 songs on your playlist.
We got
Yeah, I don't want to say that one, but I like that song by Sam Cooke.
Yeah.
Okay. I rock with Sam Cooke.
It's been a long A
Yeah.
long time coming.
That's my
but I
ringtone.
know
Stop playing. That's my
a
ringtone.
change
Okay.
gonna come. Oh, yes.
Are you showing us another talent live?
I
Is this an
know.
exclusive? I
Hey,
didn't know. Brother
you
can
heard it
sing?
here first.
Okay.
Exactly. Buy that album.
You
Right,
heard it
buy
here
the
first.
album.
That is my ringtone. That's crazy. It's literally my
Hey,
ringtone.
what did Obama say? This is what I do.
That's right. Okay, but that's one song. We asked for three. You got one song on your playlist?
No, I got a few more. I like this other song by the Temptations. It was just my imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
Just
that
my
one.
imagination. Okay,
Once
okay,
again,
okay.
running away
Running
with
away with
me.
me. Okay,
Okay,
Yeah.
that's two.
So I like this song by Music Soul Child called "Who Knows."
Right. All of his songs.
Ooh, oh
Yeah,
man.
really, all of his songs.
All of them. Just all of them. All of the songs. I saw
All
him.
of Maxwell's songs.
Yeah. I
Oh,
saw.
okay. Now, yeah, buddy. Yeah,
Yep.
those
Yeah.
are classics. I love.
Avant's whole album, like
Yeah. Old D'Angelo, you know.
hey.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. All right.
Yep.
Favorite.
Cruising.
Okay, so this was lightning round. Favorite day of the week.
Saturday.
Two songs that would never be on your playlist.
I'm telling you now, friend. Don't take her, she's all I got.
That won't be on your playlist.
No, that's a country song. You know what? I think I would have that on because it's so funny to me. But I think I've taken R. Kelly off my playlist.
Yeah, good answer. Good answer. Good for you. All of the R. Kellys. Yes.
Yeah.
Good answer. Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat animal crackers?
No.
Okay. All right. Tea or coffee?
Tea. Tea with Oni.
Okay.
Ooh,
wine or
nice.
beer?
Wine.
Wine. Do you like giving presents or getting presents?
Giving.
And I have your favorite superhero. Yeah, that you already told me that one.
Yep.
Harriet Tubman.
Harriet Tubman.
Texting or talking?
Texting.
Last question.
Mm-hmm.
If you could change one policy, law, legislation, what would it be? Take your time.
I just blacked out.
Who blacked out?
I just blacked out. I don't know what happened. All right. Bam, there we go.
You're like morphing into a bunch of.
I have an outdated phone, everybody. So please don't hurt me. My phone is like, hey, thank you, Dad. My dad gave me this phone. Anyway, thank you. Shout out to my pops.
Okay. You need the question again?
I have it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would make it where everyone had the universal right to vote, no questions asked. It wouldn't be up to debate.
I like that. I'm gonna just ask one more. I know I said that was the last, but I have a Floridian wanted me to ask you a question, and it was if I could read, it was long, but I think the gist of it was, what could the Democrats do to better their messaging?
Perfect question. Thank you for that, dear Floridian. They have to be unified in their messaging, and it needs to come from the top down. We have to we have to provide a counter for every Republican branding tactic that has gone forward in the last 20 years. The Democrats have not done such a good job at branding their own message. The Republicans are very good at that. And I have a very strong background in communications, public relations, marketing, and branding. And so I feel like we have lost so much ground because of messaging. And I think that with the microphone that I've been given to run for the United States, I will be in a very good position to lead the way on messaging and make sure that at least all of the down ballot candidates in the state of Florida are on the same page about messaging. So our campaign is collaborating with literally every congressional campaign in the state of Florida, as well as all of the other down ballot candidates. That's the state representatives, the state senators, the mayor races, the county commissioner races. I want to make sure that everybody's on the same page about our message and who we are as Democrats. And the thing that I tell them is that the progressive movement has always been about improving the quality of life for everyone. And if we focus on that, we will win, especially if we begin to show people how we have done that. And that's been who we are.
Right. That's perfect. Wonderful. Well, McNugget there, his phone died.
Yes, it did.
Yes, totally disappeared. So we're going to end this. I'm going to ask you to, well, I'm going to say thank you. Thank you for coming on. This was awesome.
Thank you.
This was fun. It was good information. Like, I love this. I want you to tell the people where they can follow you on social media. We want y'all to share his message, please. Follow him, share, donate. He's going to tell y'all what y'all need to do to get involved. So.
Thank you so much. We are building a movement. This is just not any campaign. We are building a movement. And the first place that you can stop by to learn more about who I am, our message, what we're about as a campaign is AllenEllison.com. Once you are there, you will be able to connect with us. You will be able to volunteer with our team. We need you. We want to make sure that you have every opportunity to be heard. Our campaign is about inclusion. We're about giving you your voice in our government. And so we need you. We want to make sure that if you can make a contribution to our campaign through the website. If you're on Twitter, follow us at Allen L. Ellison. We're on TikTok. We have a couple of videos that have gone viral over there at Allen Ellison for U.S. Senate. We're on Facebook, Instagram. You can just Google those or put it in the search and information will come up. You will be able to find us. But the main thing is it's about who can reach the most amount of voters with the right message. And if you believe that our message is the right one, then please join our team, help amplify our message. If you are a writer, we definitely want to work with you. If you want to help amplify, I would suggest registering with a free account with medium.com or Daily Cost, so you can help put out information to amplify not only what you're doing, but also what our campaign is doing. Again, this is a people-powered campaign that's data-driven. It's a movement. America wants to retire Marco Rubio, and we are the campaign to make it happen. So thank you all very much for tuning in tonight. I appreciate you, Lana, for inviting me onto the show. I had a good time, and hopefully we can do this again.
Of course. When you become big-time senator, you got to come back.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
So thank you so much. Do you want to say anything in closing? Because we're going to close out.
Yeah, I made it back. I'm here. Woo! But no, thank you so much, Mr. Ellison, for coming on the show. It really meant a lot. I know a lot of the Florida viewers, some who may not have known, got a better chance to get to know you better. Hopefully they'll definitely show up to the ballot box, because you talk for the people. You're a man of the people. You know the struggles, the ups, the downs. You're connected, and there's nothing wrong with making a lot of money and this, that, and the third. Everybody wants that. Growing up, everybody wants to be rich and famous, but unfortunately sometimes it doesn't work out like that. And I say that to say a lot of the politicians have a lot of money, and again, there's nothing wrong, but there's a very big disconnect. they don't understand some of the things and issues that we go through. And the fact that, you know, your dad was a preacher, and your mom, like you have a very humble beginning, in the fact that you have your own hair salon. You went through the struggles that everyday people go through. So the fact that now you're throwing your hat into the arena, and trying to pass laws that help the people, you know, I hope everybody in Florida that's watching this tonight feels motivated, energized, because when the polls open, I hope they check your name at the ballot, because everything you said tonight, you know, is something that resonates with me. I think resonates with Miss Lana, and a lot of other people. So I thank you again for coming on, and answering some of the questions, and talking a little bit more about yourself, so people can know. But with that being said, I hope everybody enjoyed the show tonight. If you can, well, once the show's over, we'll have links to Mr. Ellison's website, so you can go there, learn more about his platform, because there's some other things that we didn't get into, that he represents, that I know you guys would like to know more about. So we'll have that in the description. But again, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Mr. Ellison, for
Thank you.
for this
Yes.
tonight. I made it back. My phone died. But anyway, I am gonna get a new phone. Shout out to as always. Got the stuff on deck. Shout out to all the guests, aka viewers, the usual suspects, all the people in Florida that tuned in tonight. Thank you guys so much. You guys help make this show possible. Again, like, share, subscribe. Y'all have a wonderful night. You as well, Mr. Ellison.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mr. Ellison. Have a good night.
We'll
I
see you.
appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Bye.